Today, what we're going to talk about? We're going to talk about forgiveness. Right? What does it really mean to forgive? And I like to base it on a very, very true story, by the way, true story. I call it the forgiveness of a lady called Martha McKay. Who knows Martha McKay? Huh? Anyone knows about that story? No? Oh, that's good. So we'll make it more impactful. So the title is called The Forgiveness of Martha McKay. I've got a little quick introduction of the story. If you look, pay attention and listen. So in 1996, a teenager, so a boy not much older than you guys, his name was Travis Lewis. He murdered Martha McKay's mother and cousin. Years later, Martha chose forgiveness. You know what she did? She wrote letters to him in prison. She supported his parole. She believed he could change. When he was released, she gave him work on her property. Sadly, though, after being released, he murdered her later. This story raised some very important questions. And the questions I will ask, was Martha right to forgive her? It's a story that touches the heart, pulls on the heartstrings of forgiveness. So this lady forgave this teenager then, killed her mother and cousin. Yeah, she actually went to see him in prison, did all the Christ-like stuff, Christ-like things, came out of prison, and in the end, what did she get for it? Gave him a job, he murdered her in the end. So it raised the question, what does forgiveness actually look like? So the question in the room, was she right to forgive in the first place? Let's start with that. Was she right to forgive? Yeah? But what was wrong with what she did? Because there's been some questions around, even her own family over the years, like, what's she doing? She was apparently she was a very nice lady, very faithful, But what was actually wrong with what she did? Any takers? Joseph, what was wrong with it?
I think sometimes when people and you forgive them, you don't necessarily have to still associate them.
So putting boundaries.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, that's good. So you can forgive someone but still put boundaries, right? So if you were to construct a safe forgiveness in your mind, so if you were to define it to someone, how would you define that to someone? So I forgive you, but how would you present a new state of being to that relationship with that person? How would you say? As we've got a clue here, so that boundaries. So there's so many words you can say. Jack, I know you stole my whatever it was, but I forgive you. But it means that I can't give you the keys to my house anymore. What's the difference in that? Does forgiveness mean you lose wisdom? No, it doesn't. In fact, for you to apply true forgiveness, you can't apply it without wisdom. Yeah? You have to think about that very carefully. In order for you to really forgive someone, you actually need to apply wisdom. Yeah? Because you need to know what exactly you're even forgiving them for. Yeah? So I'm going to move on to part 2. So there's a thing here called the science and psychology of forgiveness. What many people do not know is that when someone hurts you, does something bad to you, did you know that it causes a psychological damage in your brain, right? So what it does is your brain goes into a defense mechanism So it goes into distance. It goes into anger. It triggers emotions that tells you that you need to protect yourself. That's called the psychological impact, or when people hurt you. Right? But the forgiveness part is, even though they've hurt you, God gave us what they call memory. Yeah? The memory in your brain cells allows you to recollect events. So it allows you to make discernment of how to protect that hurt. Yeah? And that discernment is what we said earlier. I can forgive you, but I can't give you the keys to my house. Because the last time I let you give the keys to my house, what happened? This happened, this was destroyed, this was burnt down. You don't know. That's called wisdom. Why? Because you do not want to go through the pain, the suffering, the time, the expense. Yeah? Is that fair? That's fair. So let's read Proverbs 14, verse 8. Can someone find it? This will give a bit of biblical touch into what we just described here. Proverbs chapter 14, verse 30. 30. Chapter 14. Proverbs chapter 14, verse 30. And someone in the crowd can read it out for us.
Even enough that our heart may ache, and the end of joy may grieve.
Okay. What does that mean? Anyone? Any takers? In the book of wisdom, Proverbs. Do you want to read it again?
Even in laughter the heart may ache, and the end of joy may be grief.
Right. Does anyone want to interpret that scripture? So my version here says, like I read it again here, I've got a mic. Heart in the life of envy, the rotten of the bones.
Did I read the right thing?
Is it Proverbs 14, verse 30?
Oh,
30, 30. So Proverbs 13, verse 30.
Say Proverbs
13, verse 30.
Verse 30.
No, Proverbs 1:4, verse 30.
I thought I got 14, 30.
Yeah.
14, 30. I'm read 13, sorry.
Okay.
God say that doesn't sound the same. A tranquil heart gives life to the flesh,
Yeah.
but envy makes the bones rot.
Yeah, that's better. So what that verse is actually saying is that actually, that keeping hurt rottens your flesh. Right? So when they say forgiveness, you must forgive. Even when God is saying you must forgive one another, God is actually saying you are helping yourself physically by forgiving them. That the pain and the suffering that we go through psychologically, emotionally, causes it's not just spiritual damage, a physical damage to your body. Yeah? I want to ask some personal questions to anyone. What experiences in your life that you've had to really forgive someone and it's been really challenging? Something that you can maybe openly share. Because when we share these type of things, it not just encourages us, it makes you realize actually going through pain is not an isolated thing. Everybody does.
Do you have one that you bring us?
Yeah. So, I had to come through a period in my life where I've been divorced once. That is the most painful experience when you see the home broken. When you see that the children yet, back then, will not see the impact yet. But you see the road coming before it happens. It's almost like you see the film before it happens. And you do all you can to kind of stop that from happening. But yet, it happens. So how do you navigate that? So I've gone through a period of time where I said to myself, I will do what I call damage limitation. Meaning to accept the things that you cannot change. to manage the things that you can, right? At least when my children grow, they will know that I did my best in the circumstances. Because on a personal reflection, I know a situation will never be perfect. I know their experience of childhood, when they become an adulthood, they might tell me that later. It's something that I might not even yet heard that story yet. I'm only seeing the story as a father now. But the story as a son or a daughter in the future, I'm yet to hear it. So there you go. I've told you a compelling story of forgiving a situation where you have to let it go. You have to let it go. Yeah? Because what it does, it wasn't overnight. I knew that it will impact me as a person, as a father, and even the person that I want to be to my children, even to myself, if I never chose forgiveness and just completely wrong. Yeah? It will stop me being the person I know I can be.
Wow.
Yeah?
What does that look like?
What does that look like?
Yeah, because I've got a story, but it's like someone close to me that they didn't want to come to church because of certain things that happened to them. And they so it's really like,
Please.
right, so I've got a story where it's literally my mum. She didn't want to come to church based on certain things that happened to her, like church people. And she spent all her time saying church people and it's like, but people carry on with their lives. And this is the thing, when you're hating on somebody or not forgiving them, they're carrying on with their lives fine. You're holding all of these things in, and you're suffering for it. Other people are not suffering. So that's what made me see that having hate for somebody, it don't do nothing for you, it don't do nothing for anybody around you. And people be living their lives fine. The people that you actually hate or have a negative opinion on, or refuse to say anything nice about them, they will carry on fighting.
Yeah.
So when you say, this is what I'm saying, what it look like, I think it looks like you don't have no intention anymore. So you forgive them, and then the force that you think towards that person who's done you wrong is not angry no more. It's not vicious no more, it's actually happy. Because you can't carry on having these angry thoughts towards somebody and think that you're going to be okay. Because that carries you on, it makes you look at other things in other situations.
Yes.
So when they say it rots the heart, it does because it starts making you look at everything else rotten. You could just look at saying that situation didn't work no more, but I can make it alright. It didn't work there, but I can still think of good things in other people, even though that person's been
Amen.
really made it work. So I think when they say forgive me, so I've seen that. And when you let it go, then you can actually live properly rather than living bitter, angry all the time. Yeah, so that's what I think it looks like. Because it's easy to say forgive, but it's like, how do you do that? So I personally think you don't have all intentions of it, even though somebody has done something that you still look at them in good light.
Yeah. Thank you. That's beautiful. And if you notice with what I've said and what my sister Kelly said, is it requires a practical application that you do not yet know the answer to all the time, right? If you knew the answer to, you might not even forgive someone, right?
Can I? My voice, what I said. Oh, sorry.
Because of the.
Oh, sorry. I want to go a little bit deeper.
Thank you.
Right? And I want to bring this guy in. So a couple of months ago, we were together, and I said some unintentionally, I kind of upset him. Yeah. So I'm going to ask him now. That situation where I offended this young man, how did it impact you? How did it impact you? And how did you come to? I'm not sure if you've forgiven me. I've forgiven you. The father just smiling next to me. I just want to know, how did you overcome that hurdle, right? and how you get to a point where, and what I love about forgiveness, true forgiveness, true forgiveness is, after you truly forgive someone, it's like God almost erases that, you can't remember it.
We'll come to that. Leave that. We're going to come to that.
So just for this guy right here, just a little small guy, something live and direct.
Yes.
Live. What I did here, right? How did it impact you? And how did that make you feel? Did you come to the realization, you know what? I'm thinking that off the head. Go on. Let's go.
Well, first of all, I don't think that I needed to forgive him because I actually appreciate his honesty.
Okay.
I don't think that you knew that.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Well, yeah. So actually, what upset me about the situation was like I felt that like I wasn't getting through to the people. But so it's a different topic, less of forgiveness. But yeah, like, there's no issue.
No, of course not. I know there's a lot. But
It's lovely.
yeah, what it was,
Love and reconciliation.
what it was between us was, I see so much potential in him.
Yeah.
But the potential that I see is a selfish one. When I say selfish, I see like, I feel that he has a lot to offer this church, right? But the way his brain works, he likes to dive in and get deep. Like, he's so deep he did a life chapter, right? And then on my end, I lost patience. I didn't want to get that deep. I just wanted to just be, can't you see what we're, and there was a clash. And that day was not a nice day. When I called him a couple of times, he didn't answer my call.
Yeah.
Right? And I felt that, and he didn't need to go for that, is what I'm saying. And I felt that I needed his forgiveness, if that makes sense. To just be like, so we could be rough with that, you know what? Outside of this, right, you're still my brother.
Yeah.
You're still my young buck, I like to call him, right? Even if you decide, you know what, I don't want to be part of this church, you're still my guy. That makes sense. Like it doesn't, I like you as a person. We don't have to agree, but I like you as a person. You know what I'm saying? So that one is almost like in real time. I'm sitting there to talk about it, which makes sense. That's all.
And again, that's beautiful. See, that's an example of taking practical steps. If you're feeling compelled to fix something, right? Just a second. And then, so there's two parts of forgiveness. I'll come to it in a second. I'll come to that. Two parts of forgiveness. The person who is the victim. Yeah? And then there's the offending person. Right? So there's an example of two cases here. And the example of the story that I told. And what's very interesting about the offender, yeah, and the person doing the offense is that they both could be moving at totally different speeds. Yeah? Right? So perception of acceptance, which is a forgiveness, will not necessarily move at the same pace. Yeah? Go on, Sister Gallagher.
I was going to go back to the story.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like I was just thinking that the woman accepted the man in her house. I don't know what possessed her to do that to me. And I was just literally thinking, like, so she's forgiven this man.
Yeah.
Like, has he shown himself to be trustworthy? Right. That's what I'm saying. Because it's like, she's forgiven him. Good for her. Yeah. That she can do that for her. And I feel like that's amazing because that takes a lot, considering her situation that you just said.
Yes.
But then all the other stuff that she's doing, what is possessing her to do that? I don't understand. He's showing himself to be worthy when he was in prison. He's showing himself worthy to be right outside. I feel like when you talk about wisdom, she just put herself in a position. I don't think that was necessary.
Yeah. Especially on reflection.
Yeah, but it's not necessary because I'm thinking you can figure this woman, and if that made her feel to move on, good for her. But then you invite this man in your house and you say, what has he shown you? Because I feel like if you're going to forgive someone, that is for you. But then it's up to them what they do afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah? If we say forgiveness is for us, that bit is for herself and she's forgiven fines. But then it's not her job to just save him. That's Jesus' job. You can show them for Jesus, it's not your job to save him. And I think she's trying to save him.
Yeah.
I just feel like wisdom, it wasn't there.
Yeah. And that is it. And I think, well, I was going to come back to that story anyway, but nicely you did. But go ahead, my brother.
Coming back to that, similar to the story.
Yes.
Sometimes people get away too reconciliation.
Thank you. And that's an excellent point. So he says sometimes forgiveness does not mean reconciliation. Yeah? So on that subject, and on the subject, what Sister Kelly said was that what people misunderstand, for example, their motive, that lady's motive, because she was a hard Christian, she was a Christian, right? I think she felt compelled that on the teaching of Christ, that do good to others that hate you. Yeah? Love your enemies. What's a bigger enemy than the someone that killed your mother and your cousin? What's the bigger enemy than someone that killed your mother and your cousin? So when you hear the words of Christ, it says, love your enemy. Her interpretation and the motive is that how could I best love someone that he should be my enemy? He just murdered my mother and my cousin. Let me show him kindness. I'll visit him in the parole. Let him show me love. I'll tell him I forgive you. You know what? I will even go further. I'll give you a job in my house. Right?
You see, I don't want to. This is where I think if you're not in tune with God, I think it boils down to that. Because, and this is where Christianity can become chaotic.
Yeah.
Because on the one hand, God forgive us, and He still entrusted us in His household. That makes sense.
Making sense.
And I think, how many times have we offended God, and He still give us the opportunity? He still has come to His household and don't nothing happen. But at the same time, what you're talking about is wisdom. How do you balance the two? Because I understand what that woman is doing. On a human level, that's stupidity. You know what I'm saying? But when you look from God's perspective, that's what He's supposed to do.
Is it? Is it?
Not?
Is it really?
Okay, and the reason why I say that is this.
Yeah.
This is what God says.
Yeah.
God says, I will forgive your sins and I'll throw it to the deepest ocean and I will remember them no more.
Yeah.
Right? And I will remember them no more. In essence, that's what we're doing. She's forgiving him, put it behind whatever ocean it is in her heart and try to start again.
Yeah.
So how do you balance the two?
I'm coming to that. I'm going to answer that. Let's hear what Joe's going to say.
You mentioned love your enemies, right?
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure in the next life, there's pray for those who persecute.
That's right.
So I feel like the best thing for us to do is pray for the perpetrator to forgive them. There was no like need to be in that situation.
Yeah. Thank you, Joe. So we're going to come back to really answer this question. Her intentions was righteous. But intentions are not the same thing as truth. Right? Intentions are not the same things as truth. And I said before earlier, why did God give us a memory? And my Brother Lockie said something about God said that He will remember your sins no more. Well, that might be true, but that is on the issue of judgment, not in the issue of day-to-day living. Right? Let's break it down very, very simply. So in the later example, who came to search you out? The offender or the person that did the offense? Who came to search you out? The person that was offended or the person doing the offense? In the story of Martha. Who came to the offended? Yes. The victim, in other words. So the victim searched out the offender. So who was really searching? Who was looking for forgiveness? Okay. Who was looking for forgiveness? No one? Okay. So she decided to take matters in her own hands. Right. So, when he finally killed her, her friends and her family said one thing, similar to some of the things you said. They said that she was too nice, and she befriended him for no reason. Right? Only one thing that was wrong. She confused forgiveness to trust. Forgiving someone doesn't mean you trust them again. And I'm going to show you in the Bible that Christ forgives us,
We don't trust us.
but doesn't necessarily trust us.
I said, I like that.
I'm going to jump straight to it right now. Let's go in the Bible and find it. It's in John chapter 2, verse 24.
John 2:24.
Yes. John, why God may forgive us doesn't mean he trusts us. Right? And for the purpose of the camera, I'll read it just to flow. It says, but Jesus did not commit himself unto them because he knew all men. Commit means to trust.
Yeah, I've got interest in it. So.
Yeah? You've got trust in her version.
Yeah, this one's got. But Jesus,
Let's read out. Just show I'm not bluffing.
but Jesus on his part did not entrust himself to
That's
them
right.
because he knew the people.
That's right. So God might forgive you, but doesn't mean he ain't gonna trust you.
Yeah.
And that lady has intentions on the same thing as doing the right thing. So she had good intentions. I forgive you, but she not trust you. Okay, so let's put it at home. Would you trust a child molester around your child? Even though it's gone through the right process, all this other things, support, all this kind of stuff, therapy. You say you won't trust them.
No.
But also you're helping them in a sense to keep them away.
And what is that? Wisdom.
That's what, yeah. Take for example, there was I'll be careful how I say this. Somebody stole money from the church.
That's right.
Yeah. No, yes. And no. Someone that used to, maybe phrase that, someone that used to look after the offering.
Right.
Or counting, yeah, got found guilty for doing something outside of the church, which is end up finding going to jail, stealing some money from somewhere.
Right.
The church forgive him, but we're not going to allow him to be counting money.
That's right.
That makes sense. I'm helping you. You kind of help them not to be tempted in a sense.
Yeah.
So okay.
So what is that framework? What is it doing? Effectively, if you really break it down to its core parts, you applying, you said yourself, boundaries, you're not necessarily trusting them. You saying, let's reframe our reality so it helps you. You are now defining the future. You're defining a better future. Right? You're deciding that, listen, I can't give you the position to look after the church treasury because we don't want things to go missing that will impede the God's work. It's wisdom.
But some might say that you haven't really forgiven them.
Incorrect. Again, we just read it. Forgiveness doesn't mean you trust someone again. Right? You are not binded by emotions. I call it the human emotions to say, if you really truly forgive me, you must trust me at all cost. No.
You have to prove yourself. Okay.
Okay, now we move on to a subject of proving yourself. Okay. For someone, we're moving to another state now. Do you feel you need to earn someone's forgiveness? Proving yourself. Open question to him. Do you feel you need to earn someone's forgiveness?
Forgiveness or any trust.
We've got someone that's thinking in the room.
And that's where I'm going. I'm not talking
Do
about
you?
them.
So the question is, the question you should be thinking about earning the trust, not
Yeah.
the forgiveness.
Forgiveness should be, you should be able to forgive.
But trust.
Yeah.
But you have to earn that trust.
Trust.
But I say this though. Okay, let's make it a little bit more. A parent or a child,
Yes,
that unfortunately that child will become,
a naughty boy.
he's been on, I don't know, he's on drugs or whatever, right? And he's been clean for a long time,
Yeah.
for years, right? But there's still a possibility that person might still relapse.
Yes.
Is what I'm saying. So you can never fully trust them.
And that's true.
You can never fully trust. You can never fully trust.
And let's break that down. So now we're moving to what I call part 4, which is the human perception of forgiveness and the biblical elements of forgiveness, right? So let's touch on the human element. So human element that even when someone offends you, right? And you go through a process of, accepting forgiveness, because we have memories, because we have emotions and those things, we don't forget. So we keep retained to protect ourselves that you might not fully trust them, in that thing again, even though for a long time he or she may not have done that thing. The moment they slip, and all the anger and pain comes back hard, right? That's called the human side of it, right? But the biblical side of it is that God says to forgive each other 7 times. Why? Because He knows that human beings slip up. Yeah, we slip up. Because our nature is corrupted, that even if you try to be perfect, you will slip up now and again. You say the wrong thing, you say in the wrong way, even if you meant well. So the receiver will be like, I don't like that. So there's so many ways that we can slip up as human beings. Yeah? But the Christian, the biblical teaching, Christ's teaching, says, have a forgiving spirit. A forgiving spirit is the knowledge that I too is not perfect. You had a situation where you two forgave each other. You came to a common understanding. That is a human with biblical character coming together in one. Right? And did you know that it's only with the biblical teaching that you're able to live free? Right? So we've talked to them, leave forgiveness and Christ, let me do that. That's job of Christ. That's God's work. Right? So you become free. So you're not reconciling everyone. You're not convincing them, oh, do I need to trust them again? That's not really your work. Right? It only becomes an issue where if you're forced to consider actual trust, and I give you the common situations. For example, you're living in a household, mother and father, you have children, or you have a family of brothers and sisters, one person offends each other, you both live in the same house. That's a situation where you always have to revisit trust. You're forced to. Right? Because a family, you're trying to find the best way to move forward. So all the time, your trust will always be tested. And if that test is constant pattern. How do you evaluate the test if someone's changed? How do you know if your son or daughter's changed or your partner? It doesn't matter what it is. It's by patterns. It's what they do over a repetitive pattern. If for a while they seem to show good general things, and if they slip, you should forgive them. You should forgive them because the pattern doesn't show the story. Right? If the pattern is repetitive offense, then your trust is a reason not to trust them because they haven't shown patterns of honesty.
But also as well as for you not to show complacent, don't assume that, you know what, it's been a long time, they're all right now. You also help them by making sure and you're helping them out as well.
Yes.
It's
It's a two-way
falling back into it's a two-way thing.
Mhm.
Because if you're to be like, well, I can trust them now, you know, it's been a long time, I'm just living with me. You also have to be probably complacent.
I agree.
Yeah.
And that's fundamental. And that leads to another point, point number 5, that forgiveness does not remove consequence. That's the third layer in the process of hurt. Forgiveness does not remove consequence. So you can forgive and you can necessarily don't need to trust them, but it certainly doesn't remove the consequence of that offense. An example of that is, it can happen in 2 different levels. Should I explain that what it is? Level number 1, which is the most softer ones, in the fact that, okay, that you can do something and someone can say, I think we have to arrange a time where you move out. I'd still support you as a father, but I'll help you get a place, you have your own house, you've got to become a man yourself.
But you're not staying here.
Maybe you're not staying here. And we'll both live happily ever after. Right? But there's a second type of consequence, is that you forgive, you might not trust them anymore, but guess what? That person will not be in your life ever again.
Also, yeah.
That's a different level. And one way of breaking down the level is that, for example, it doesn't matter who you are, just imagine you are a God-fearing person. And one day you discovered that someone has been abusing your child. God forbid. You're moved with anger. The person has betrayed your trust. This person, you know them. You find out who they are. If your anger is not just by the offense, by the trust that's broken. You move with ferocity and you kill that person. Right? All the teachings of patience and all the teachings of everything you've gone from church was in the moment been tested. Right? And you took judgment in your own hands and you killed that person. You go to court, they said to the judge, I'm sorry. I've never been like this, and it's true. He never was. You were a pastor, you were God-fearing person, right? It's true. He said, I will never do this again. And the judge says, you know what, you're right. You should never do this again. You're showing remorse. And the judge says, despite the remorse, despite the evidence, despite I can see and I know that this is unlike you, but I do have to give you the minimum life sentence. You have to serve a minimum of 30 years in prison. Doesn't remove the consequence. Oh. You see? That's an example. Even though you can go through the process, forgiveness, trust could be repaired even sometimes, but consequence doesn't remove.
But even in that situation, the judge, they'll always give you a point. You feel guilty or not guilty.
Yes.
You saw what I'm saying? And let's say, you know what, I'm guilty, what I did was wrong, I put my hands up, and they give you a minimum life sentence. While you're serving that time, they'll be monitored.
Yeah, you might get out on parole.
And you might get out of good behavior on parole that this person is changed, right? And he's all right in society.
That's right.
And it's almost kind of similar. I've never put the two together, but yeah,
It's powerful stuff.
yeah, very powerful, very powerful. Because I got a friend recently, one of my friends outside of church. He looks like he might have been in prison for about 5 years. And then what he did was, his cousin is being physically abused by by a boyfriend or baby father. Like beating her up consistently. And then his cousin got a baby by his child, right? And then, and he's been going back and forth for years. And he got to a point even, this so-called boyfriend or baby father came into the house and bought guns because he had an issue with the thing. And then my brother said, look, you don't want to go there. You don't want to go there because it's just going to spill over. Then what? Put two and two together now, right? This is put two and two together. He located the guy, right? And he just beat him to the pole.
Yeah.
And this friend of mine is a trained fighter. He's a UFC MMA fighter.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So he's broken jaw, broken bone, broken everything, right? And he's looking about 5 years. And they're given the opportunity, do you want to plead guilty? Right? And there's a standoff. Do I feel guilty or do I see what evidence that they've got? But there's a video camera in there showing that you beating this guy. You don't just beat him up, he sat on top of him. Right? And pow. It was, I've seen the video clip once, I don't want to see it again.
Wow.
And it shows that I'm not the fighter, guys. I'm not right? Because several times, me and this individual had bust up. My old friend knows that he's a fighter. I said to him, why don't you talk about this guy's a fighter? You don't get ugly face. And I think the only reason why he didn't get to that situation was this was pending. This situation was pending. He hasn't been sentenced yet. So the moral of the story is this year, right? Like I said before, he's not a bad guy. He was 925 and he's a cool dude, right? But a moment of madness and a situation, but at the same time, regardless of what he did was honorable, he protected his cousin. But no matter what,
Pay the
you
consequences.
couldn't pay the consequences.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest part, isn't it?
It is the hardest part. You want to say something?
The real thing is that is because you could be obviously afraid of people being out because that's husband, but then on the flip side, like, was it really worth it? I have to go to prison. That's what it is, a big giant, that's the big man.
You know,
The rational part.
you know what, that's,
I understand it, right? You like a man thinking, of course,
you know what, that's what I said at first. I said to him, you know what, you didn't need to do what you did to him. That's what I said to him, right? But me saying that, I didn't know the full story. I didn't know that the guy brought a gun to the girl's house. That's a baby father. That's your cousin and your family.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. Forgive me what I'm about to say, right? There are some things you do what you're supposed to do. In my eyes, he does what he's supposed to do.
Yeah.
There are some righteous beat down. It's what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Let's for example, somebody. Let's what I'm saying. Let's say for example here, right? Let's say for example, I want to digress. For example, I'm out on the road and there's a guy put his hand on my missus and I'm like, you know what? This guy,
I can give you.
no, this guy's big. This guy's big. She would never look at me the same. So if I go into that situation and I get beaten up for it, it's righteous.
Yeah.
So on my friend's situation, because at first I said to him, because I was talking to her and I said to him that he could have found a different way. But when he told me the story, his cousin, and it might that's your child as well.
That's right.
That's not your child as well. But the biggest part was, this guy's a coward. That's his baby mother. And that's his nephew. So on that sense, I'm not in a situation, I have to just keep my mouth shut. I don't know what.
It doesn't mean that you can go too far. Yeah. Because you could do that, you wouldn't take far. At the same time, I do agree with you.
The situation, right?
Sorry, I want to hear that. Take the mic to him. He said,
No,
what do you mean by going too far? So I'll come back.
I'm saying, it doesn't mean that he didn't go too far, and then you said it's sitting on top of him and beating him, that you maybe gone too far then at that point.
Yeah.
But I do believe a man is on the code, and there's some things that people have done on that it is what it is. People stand on top of it. No. I'm saying, like,
There's certain lines you just don't
There's
cross.
certain times you're gonna have, there's certain times you have to do some things that are not.
It's not ethical.
Yeah, no, it's not about ethical though, because it may be ethical, but it's just not acceptable in today's in society today. But at the same time, it may be necessary,
That's right.
and there may be consequences, and you take those consequences and you go sit down for a while.
Yeah.
The chart, by the way, and I said the chart because I'm speaking from, now I'm speaking as a friend,
Yes.
and I'm like, the whole story is upsetting me, and I'm like, you're going to go to jail, but not only that, a few years goes quick, it could be like 18 months, but the impact it's going to have on you, in terms of trying to find work, trying to rebuild yourself, there's a lot of issues that come with it, right, and I feel different. So when I found out the charge, it was one down from attempted murder. It was that close.
Wow.
Because of the way he did it. And it wasn't.
That's what, so to come.
I said, I can see your sweating balls on the next man. I don't know what you see. I couldn't do that.
All right, let's come back to Kevin. So basically, right, I've got two more things to talk about. But before we move on, I'm going to elevate a little bit more about what just happened just now. So I've got two stories I want to tell. One is actually based on the point you just made about the guy going to jail for potentially 5 years. So this is a scenario. Listen carefully. And I want to hear what you guys think. So similar situation is that this guy was walking with his missus, and there was like 2 or 3 guys that inappropriately touched her. And she turned around, the guy turned around, and she said, "Who touched me? Why you not touch me?" In an appropriate place. And then he looked at the 3 guys, and he asked her, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Why are you asking? I'm okay." She was expecting something else. So in the end, they walked back home, got home and said, "I felt so unsafe with you. You didn't defend me." They were going to an argument that night. They were going about it for a week. And in the end, one of his friends came out and said, what's wrong with your girlfriend? She said, "Oh, she's still upset with what happened last week." He told her what happened. And he said to him, "You're wise, man." "You're wise." He goes, "What do you know?" So basically, what he said, he said that you were able to critically analyze the situation. That you attacking those guys in that moment, you could end your own life. I know.
So basically, he saved himself.
So he was saying, "Well, I saved myself and then her because I thought we could live another day. I wanted us to live another day." So he said, if I had responded, attacked, get shot, so I'll die, she'll move on. And then I'll be like, my family will be crying for me. She'll move on, she'll end up being with someone else. It's crazy, think about
That's the other side of the coin.
That's the other side of the coin. I wanted to present the situation for a reason. No, I'm not saying which side I will land on. I'm trying to let you know that how other people see it and read the situation. Right?
And you have to respect both.
And it's an interesting question. Where the question, he said, I wanted us to live another day. And the question is the fight, the struggle, all worth not living another day? And it's a question, it's an open question for you guys to think about.
You know, it's so hard, you know. That's why
It's an open question.
That's what I was watching Creed, you was watching Creed, isn't it? And there was but it was one scene, right, where he was walking into the bouncer, and the bouncer said, "Oh, thanks, baby Creed." He's like, "Don't call me that."
Yeah.
But I thought to myself, that didn't warrant a punch. I just thought he could have walked away from that. Do you know what I'm saying? So I thought there's some situations where it don't call for violence. Or some situations, I don't know if it cause of violence, but violence is...
Do you guys now see the thin line?
But then again, you also don't know.
It's a dangerous thing.
It's a dangerous thing.
On the other hand, you go home his wife lost respect for him.
You want of course.
That in itself is a death sentence. That's in itself is a death sentence.
That's the truth. That is the truth, and that's where they discussed it.
But I understand where it's coming from.
You understand?
No, I'm not going to bother with to fight another day. But your wife is looking sideways, all like Jay. When it comes to it, they want to smoke.
There's a difference between fighting and
Yeah.
it's not always violence, and it's not just violence straight away, but it's like
It's what the second person like excellent. You could say don't with that.
Excellent.
He didn't vomit a punch.
I have not finished the story yet. by the way.
Sorry,
I have not finished the story. I'm glad this is spicy. So the bit I didn't say at the end of the story, that same friend said, in order for you to kind of like keep the aggro away from home, right? All you had to do is just pretend to stand up. You weren't going to fight them anyway.
Pump fake it.
All you have to do is say, all you have to do is just say, why are you not touching my so-so like this? You think you're tough because there's three of you, right? Try that when you want to be by yourself, right? And that is called deflection of truth. Because it's true, maybe those boys would not have done it if there wasn't 3, 4 of them. So, and he said, okay, maybe I'll just try and work out with my missus in the end, right? So what are you going to say about that? Go.
For me, first of all, I feel like my answer is a question to everyone else. It's like, okay, so when that happens, what is your objective then? You know? Because if it seems like there's a few objectives flying around. One of them is like, okay, to save face, justice, lose respect with your wife. So you've got to figure out, okay, so what you actually are.
Yeah. So,
I hear that. But the number one thing for this guy is to save himself.
right.
So
That's what I'm thinking.
I say that because, like, in my mind, for me, all that matters in that moment is whatever I believe to be justice. So, say for example, there can be a situation where, I don't know, like the person affected is fine. Let's say you and your friend are on a night out or something like that, and your friend is like insulted or something happens. He may be fine, but just like he may push you to do something that wasn't necessary, you know? So I feel like when you start to make it about losing face and pride and respect and this, like you can get into trouble unnecessarily. If you're just about justice, 9 times out of 10 it's going to lead you on the right path. You know, in that moment, if you really care about, okay, I don't know, you might call the police, and you know, like look, you know, rather than I don't know, just put your life on the line and it's not hitting in a mad way. That's what happens.
Can I bring it slightly to the youngsters a little bit?
Yeah.
Let's bring it slightly to the youth a little bit, because they face similar situations where they're not about that so-called rah-rah land, and there's a bunch of guys there with hoodie, right? Let's say the young boy belongs to our church, just a nice boy, and he's walking, and then even if he says, you know what, I'm by myself, blah blah blah, but sometimes they're still gonna go ahead and do what they need to do.
Yeah.
How do you kind of explain to a teenager or a child, that are doing the right thing, but they still face them situations?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I can share no testimony actually on that situation, and I've told my kids. My kids would tell them, they would tell you that, yeah, Daddy told me about this stuff. So I used to live in Camberwell, in a time when Camberwell was the Camberwell, not this whole, the Camberwell you see now. It's been renovated. It was hood. There was a lot of gangs, murders. There was murder back then. It's Peckham, yes. So exactly. So I was going to college where there were people in the heart of the gangs. I went to college at the time where it was just known for beef. Every day there was war, right? So how do you discern yourself navigating all this stuff? And you say you want to get a good college results, and you're going through all this beef and war every single time. So anyway, I was on my way home one day. Back then I had 2 phones on me, so a little bit of a foreshadow moment there.
You had 2 phones?
I have 2 phones back then. Yeah. So, and you can, that's a foreshadow moment, right? On my way home, I remember I was saying to myself, let me go and get some KFC, or whatever. And before I even got there, two guys in the hood. And I heard those famous words. What are the famous words are? What you got for me, bro? What you got for me, bruv? And like, in that moment, I wasn't even sure what to do. But I'm going to tell you what I did instinctively. Number one, I didn't show any signs of being afraid. Right? I didn't show any sign of being afraid. And also, I didn't show any sign of resistance. But I did say, I don't have anything for you. But I do have these thorns on me.
What?
Yeah, I'm coming with it. Right? One of them, what you like don't know, one of them was a gang lord. He was shocked with what I said. Shocked. He can believe that I wasn't trying to hide it from him. He looked at me, I wasn't even sure what he was looking at. He looked at me, scanned me over. He goes, "You're not from Arioya." I go, "I don't live too far from here. I didn't tell you where I live, but I don't live too far from here." What I didn't tell you, the other guy went to my college. That was with him. I know him. But his story will come another day. That same guy that stopped me, weeks later, guess what? He got arrested for murder. Same guy that stopped me was arrested for murder. Right? And you know what he did? He goes, "You're not from around here." We had a few words. He gave me my phone back and let me go.
What? He gave you both your phone?
He gave me both my phone back and let me go. He was just as if in the moment he just happened to have a normal conversation. Number one, I didn't show. It's a bit of a balance. I didn't show fear, but at the same time I didn't show like I wanted to take them. Right? It's as if in that moment he got confused and it was like he doesn't know what he should be doing in his right moment. Right?
Exactly. You got your situation, Funcho, that's just God, man.
Of course.
It is.
But I can only share.
I've been situated before where you think to yourself, how did I get out of that? And you don't understand it. There's somebody else might do that. I've got a big phone. Shut up, give me the phone.
But it's interesting though.
He's thinking some other stuff, though, you know. You know he's thinking something. He's thinking.
See, that threw him off.
He's thinking, why does he have two phones? He said there's going to be 2 phones from there. Who's thinking? He doesn't know enough about this guy now. He's thinking there could be some repercussions. He doesn't know what he doesn't know what he's doing.
He might not even that deep. He's thinking that. He might not even that deep. You get what he's thinking. I'm okay with what how under that pressure he's able to like, you know what? Let me just use my. But a lot of that's coming out of your upbringing.
Don't forget, I was going to church too. So I always say to the kids, right, that I think in the moment of pressure, in the moment of heat, there's only 2 things that ever happen. I think a couple of weeks ago, it's either you come to the teachings or you don't. I just feel like you're compelled to do anything that the Spirit leads you to do. I just feel like that's what it is.
I think it's back to pieces, because I can tell you a situation happened to me.
Go ahead, yeah.
Alright, so I went to a patient's house, right, and on my iPad it has like little instructions for like certain things. Me being very naive, I didn't read the instructions on the thing, right? So the man lives in an apartment block where he's got a concierge. He's got a concierge downstairs. So I walked in and said, "I've come to see so-and-so." And they were like, "Okay, are you a nurse?" So I said, "Yeah." And obviously I'm dressed as a nurse, right? So I've gone upstairs. When I knocked on the man's door, he's opened the door and he's on the phone. But he happened to be on the phone to my company. So I was like, okay. So I've come in and he's like, "Why have you told people that you're a nurse, that you're coming here? Why have you said that?" I'm like, "What?" I'm thinking, what am I walking on? So he said, "Why have you told people I'm a nurse?" I said, "Did you not see the instructions that said there?" So I looked at the instructions and I said, lucky for me, but I looked, there was no instructions there. He went, "But the nurse told me before there's instructions. You know me to tell people I'm a nurse. Everyone's going to know that I have a nurse coming up here now. Not everyone, because of you." I said, "I've come in, they asked me, am I a nurse?" I said, "Yes." I haven't told him I haven't told them why I'm here. I haven't said what I'm here for. I've just said I'm left. And he was like, I can't believe it. Not everyone's going to know that everyone else I'm here. So I'm thinking, how am I going to get out of this situation?
Yeah.
Right? And then I was thinking, I need to, like, in my head, I'm like, just do what you need to do and leave. Right? So I just got in there and said, right, I'm just going to come take the blood pressure up. Let's go. And then he was like, no, why is it? And I said, listen, I can see you're upset. I'm not going to stay here any longer than I have to. I apologize. I'm going to go. Then he was like, no, it's okay. Stay here. I said, then things started changing from my eyes. I said to him, no, I understand you're upset. All I can do is apologize. I should have read the note. I didn't. I'm looking at the note now. I'm going to write now that so you can't say your next when you come. And he was like, okay then. In that space of the moment, the man then called the company and said, no, you was in the wrong. I've never seen anyone just switch in front of me. I haven't done anything to worry him to change his mind.
Yeah.
In my head, I'm thinking I need to get out of this situation. I need to go, right? And he started saying, no, I'm going to call the company now, don't worry. I said, I'm going to leave now. I can see you're upset. I'm going to do what I need to do and I'm going to go, okay? Then he was like, oh, you're thinking I'm a bad person. I said, no, I don't. I think you're upset. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave. Then he changed his mind and then called the company and said, this nurse is fine. She doesn't need to stay here. It's okay. Do you want a bottle of water? I said, no, thank you. He's like, no, I'm going to give you a bottle of water. You're going to stay. He said, and I thought, what is happening? My head, I was thinking, what is happening here? This man then called the company and said, this nurse is fine. Nothing's happened. Everything is okay. Don't worry. And I thought, this has to be good because I have said nothing.
Yeah, yes.
I saw the same patient yesterday. I called him and said, I'm coming. This man took me to his underground parking. Took me up to the flat, escorted me, gave me a bottle. I was like, why is this man so nice to me? I have done nothing to warrant this niceness.
Yeah.
But then he was like, are you going to come again next month? I was like, no.
Like, what's the transformation here?
Yeah. So
No,
I'm in
it's
a
true.
situation when you're like, it looks one way, and then for some reason it just changes
Changed
to
that
another
way.
way.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it happened, so.
I know you're right. You just gotta thank God. I walked away from that and just praising God. Sometimes you just really have to, and you know, and there's nothing more to it. And I hope the kids and the youth can take that example. So the point is that not everything evolves or ends in physical altercations, right? That you just gotta pray for discernment of how to get out of that situation sometimes. That's why I try to present the three sides of the situation with the girl and the girlfriend, that situation. That it's very easy to see one way, but actually when you see other ways, you know, it makes the situation a little bit more interesting and stuff like that. There is one thing, I don't know how much time I've got left. There is one more story about forgiveness, just to round it up. And what would you do, or what would you think of this person, this situation? So, and it was a man, it's a true story by the way, it was a man who discovered 15 years later that 3 of his children wasn't his, right? He discovered by accident the third child, took it to the hospital, the child was sick, and through the test results, they saw in the blood test, they were trying to do some diagnosis, and the doctor said to the man, how's your relationship with your daughter? I said, she's my daughter. The blood types are not the same. And then that sparked him to test his other children. And they found that his children are not his. And he was absolutely distraught. He had to he confronted the wife. What do you think he should do?
I think his marriage is over.
Marriage is over? Any other? Loss of trust?
Yeah, 15 years.
15 years.
Every single one.
So what do you think he should physically do? You think he should just walk out of the marriage? Yeah. Do you think he should forgive her?
No.
Give her?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Forgive her, yeah?
Like, stay together.
Stay together. So the possibility of forgiveness, but reconciliation may be dicey, right?
That's crazy. That's
just betrayal.
That's
Betrayal. It's 15 years. 15, 1 5.
Does it matter? Still like it. Yeah, exactly. If you fuck it, you're taking it.
Yeah.
I can't lie, I feel like that's one
That's what it's been
So-
going for that period of time.
Yeah. And there is one thing to the story we need to add.
Who was the dad then? It wasn't him.
Sorry?
Who was the father?
Oh, thank you. Someone's asked the right question. Who, what, the father?
Okay, so if he never questioned it, no, if he never questioned it, the kids must look like they're meaning.
Who was the father?
Do you get what I'm saying?
The brother was the father.
His brother.
His brother. And Sister Kelly's right. Because the kids, he looks a lot like his brother. The kids look like the brother, thinking it's family relations, right? And he never questioned it. And sadly, they weren't his kids. Right? So I won't tell the end of that story, but that's open for what is. What I would say is we've got time. 2 minutes. Okay, we've got 2 minutes. We've got one more open question. Who do you think forgives easily? Male or female? Who forgives easier, basically?
That's a 50-50 question.
I think it's a different situation.
Yeah, I don't think it's a gender thing.
It's not gender? Okay. Any other takers?
Well, yes.
So you break it down a little bit further?
So, I feel like people might think that men forgive easier, but maybe they just more dismissive.
Dismissive?
Like, probably just care just as much, I'd say.
Okay, so
You understand what I'm saying?
yeah, I understand what I'm saying. So men forgive, but they're a bit more dismissive.
Like a man's probably more likely to say, "Oh yeah, I forgive you," still act as if he.
Okay.
So same outcome, but
Sure. Well, I think broadly, I think it's not definitive. It's kind of 50-50. However, it does change in certain situations. So, although it's generally 50-50 about male and female forgiving each other, but the context does diverge when you look at emotional subjects. So, women are more forgiving with emotional subjects, and men are more forgiving in things of general things or logical situations, right? So that's where the sexes diverge a little bit, but generally speaking, if you want to put it all across the board, it's very difficult to separate, right? So, should we forgive like Martha McKay? You wouldn't, right? It could cost you your life, right? Right, so forgiveness should come with wisdom. So I hope you guys can kind of take it away. That's what the message I wanted to kind of get home, that forgiveness doesn't mean we lose or we have to keep on trusting the same people. And we also have to remember sometimes our actions personally, when you're the offender, has consequences, right? Even if you want your world to go back to normal, sometimes you just can't. And you just got to leave that to God. And most of all, to apply wisdom in your daily life. And hopefully, always free yourself and never hold on to anything. Because if you do hold on to things, it does physically harm you as a person. So it's good to forgive and allow God to do the rest. Amen. Amen.
Amen.